Many voters in New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District will recognize the names on their ballot tomorrow. Adam is back again with a look at this race featuring two familiar opponents.
Well, Jen, Steve Negron and Lynn Blankenbecker finished 1st and 3rd respectively in the 2018 primary. But even though this is something of a rematch, this is one of the more dynamic contests, with each candidate either involved in or connecting with, personally, key 2020 issues.
Republican primary voters in New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District get a pair of familiar faces in 2020. Steve Negron and Lynn Blankenbecker finished 1st and 3rd in the 2018 primary, with Negron clinching the nomination but losing in the general election against incumbent Congresswoman Annie Kuster.
But when we did the forensics on it, and you see that we took 117,990, was most votes since 2002 in a midterm, then that was something that we could build upon.
It was a different race. It was a different time, honestly. We didn't have COVID.
As a Navy nurse, Blankenbecker treated combat wounded troops in Afghanistan. She was recently called to service in New York City during the initial COVID-19 spike.
Some folks said to me, do you think that will ruin your campaign if you go and serve? And I said, absolutely not. I don't deserve to be a congresswoman if I can't step aside from a race and go take care of the people of this country during a time of crisis.
Blankenbecker eventually contracted a mostly asymptomatic case of coronavirus.
But fortunately, I didn't feel sick from it.
Negron, who served 2 decades in the Air Force, commends Blankenbecker for her frontline service, but says he, too, can lead in the fight against the virus.
My hat's off to her. She did a phenomenal job, and that's what being in the military is all about. We have a saying, you salute and you execute, and she went down there and did some unbelievable things aboard the USNS Comfort. The truth of the matter is that, it takes more than that to understand what's happening in this pandemic.
Negron does bring a unique perspective as a person of color. He says he's endured racism in his life, but he's never let it define him.
It made me stronger. It gave me resilience. What I did find is I won't be a victim about that.
Well, the winner of this contest faces one of the steeper uphill battles among the statewide races as 4-term incumbent Annie Kuster awaits in the general election.
And so this year has brought a lot of new challenges, but one critical issue in New Hampshire is still all too familiar. Republican candidates for Senate, Don Bolduc and Corky Messner, answered our question about how they think the federal government can help fight the opioid crisis.
First thing they can do is stop throwing money at the problem. And second thing they can do is, if they're going to give money, they need to make sure that it goes to a comprehensive plan, starting with prevention and education, interdiction, treatment, and then support services. I go around this state and I talk to all kinds of folks involved in the opioid crisis, and what they don't have is support services, enough beds. They don't have a sustainable program. Insurance doesn't cover what it needs to cover, and we need to make sure that that happens. And all we're doing is harm reduction, really, right? And harm reduction has a place, but that's where we're throwing all our money. And then we're wondering why we're continuing to have a problem. Well, it's also a problem at our southern border and at our northern border, and we need to stem that.
I think first and foremost is secure the southern border. Stop the flow of illegal drugs across the southern border. Those drugs, they come across and they end up here in New Hampshire. And so to help solve it is provide the money necessary to secure the southern border. I think secondly, we want to make sure that the resources are available for prevention, treatment, and recovery. And make sure that states and local governments have the resources necessary to help people, including resources for mental health to help them. So I think it's those main two things is to secure the southern border and make sure there's enough funds available for prevention, treatment, recovery, and mental health.
So political director Adam Sexton and WMUR political reporter John DeStaso have been tracking this Senate primary. They're joining us now for a closer look at the race. Gentlemen.
Well, Tom and John, I think back to the 2010 GOP Senate primary, you had rising star Kelly Ayotte clinging to a lead over Obed LaMontagne. He was riding that Tea Party energy into a near upset. Another candidate was all over the airwaves. It was electric. In this race, once Corey Lewandowski decided not to run at such a late date, it really tilted the advantage to Corky Messner, the self-funding candidate. And now, John, it would be something of an upset if Don Bolduc can pull this off.
Yes, Adam, what's enraged Don Bolduc and his people is not just the Trump endorsement of Messner, but it's what came with it, which was the support of the Republican National Committee, the Trump campaign. When they go door to door or when they hold events, they are promoting their ticket, and it's Trump, Sununu, Messner, and it goes down to Matt Mowers. So Bolduc feels like he's been, really given a raw deal in this situation, and he is making up for that by campaigning very hard and very intently. Problem is, Corky Messner has put $4 million nearly of his own money into this race, has run 4 or 5 television ads, and he is becoming more of the known candidate. Bolduc has had a few ads, but it's really going to be about, can he get the vote out? Can he actually get the veterans and the people who like his background as a war hero to come to the polls or to have voted absentee?
All right, and ever since Lewandowski opted out, it really has created a tilted playing field for the candidate with more money, and that just happened to be Messner. One of the changes in New Hampshire politics over the last 10 to 20 years is the idea of different voting blocks in different regions. It's not as prevalent as it once was. I'm curious if you think the carpetbagger attacks work for Don Bolduc in the more rural areas of the state. Now, 2014, Scott Brown's margins against Jim Rubens and Bob Smith were much closer in Coos and Grafton counties than they were in other parts of the state closer to Massachusetts. Obviously, there are fewer voters up there, and Messner probably doesn't have the same kind of southern tier clout as a Scott Brown. But clearly, there seem to be parts of the state where deeper roots matter more.
I agree with that. I think that in the one area that we'll both be watching is going to be the Lakes region. And there is both a very rural aspect to it, but there's also kind of a people moving in and out aspect to it. You have Messner, who lives in Wolfboro, but Don Bolduc is from Laconia and was a Laconia police officer, even though he now lives on the seacoast. So I think that where people are more established, perhaps older voters, if Don Bolduc can get his message to those folks with his finances, which are not on the same level as Messner's, that's going to be areas that we can watch.
Belknap and Carroll counties on alert for tomorrow. Unless it's a wave election, very rare to unseat a Senate incumbent after they win their second term. For Jeanne Shaheen, that was obviously last time around, 2014. But no matter who wins, John, she begins this general election cycle on Wednesday in a very strong position.
Yes, she has at least $10 million cash on hand right now in her account. She's a household name. The only question is there going to be Shaheen fatigue after all these years as governor and as a now 2-term senator? That's what the Republicans are hoping for.
And John, you wonder, 2026, if she wins, I believe Jeanne Shaheen would be 80 years old. Certainly there's no age limit on the Senate, and they often age quite a bit in that job. But this might be the last opportunity for Republicans to defeat Jeanne Shaheen since 2002. Thanks for the insight, John. Let's go back to you, Jen.
Thank you.
And more final pitches now. Republican candidates in New Hampshire's 1st congressional district, Matt Mowers and Matt Mayberry, make their case for your vote.
Hi there, I'm Matt Mayberry, and I'm running for Congress because Chris Pappas has failed us. I'm an Air Force veteran, a small business owner, and a longtime Republican activist in our great state. I'm the only candidate in this race who's running to put New Hampshire families first. I will fight to protect our Second Amendment rights. I'll defend our police. I'll fight to protect our veterans, and I'll fight hard for New Hampshire families. I'm going to fight to save 7,800 jobs at the Naval Shipyard and our fishing fleet. Republicans in New Hampshire know me, and they trust me, and I have a reputation of getting things done. I'm going to take that same commitment to public service to Washington. I want you to know that I will fight for you every single day. I hope to earn your vote on September 8th. And go to mayberryforcongress.com to learn more. And may God bless you, your family, and the great state of New Hampshire.
As the son of a construction worker, I've had a chance to live the American dream. But unfortunately, the American dream and our live free or die values are under assault down in Washington, D.C. by the liberal mob. Chris Pappas has sided with them and Nancy Pelosi when they refuse to hold China accountable for the spread of COVID-19 and for stealing American jobs. Chris Pappas and Nancy Pelosi have undermined our law enforcement and voted to allow criminals to sue our cops. Well, I'll be very different. I'm honored to have the endorsement of President Trump. And working with the president, we'll hold China accountable and bring good-paying jobs back to the United States. We'll stand with our law enforcement and give them the tools necessary to keep our communities safe. And working with President Trump and Governor Sununu, we'll bring our economy back and bring good-paying jobs back here to New Hampshire. I'm Matt Mowers. I ask for your support on Tuesday because we need a new generation of leadership and someone who's going to fight to protect the American dream.
COVID-19 dealt a blow to New Hampshire's economy this year.
Still ahead, the Democratic candidates for governor explain their ideas to fill the budget gap expected from this pandemic.